Why do we do the things we do? Today, we're diving deep into this really cool podcast. It's called Mind Matters.
And the best part is it's like actually based on science.
Okay, so today we're going to get into something pretty heavy, schizophrenia. And we want to kind of go beyond just like what it is, the textbook definition.
Mm-hmm.
But we also want to talk about this potential link to criminal behavior.
It's not an easy topic.
Yeah, and I know this is something that hits close to home for you.
It really does, actually. I had a childhood friend who was involved in something really tragic.
Oh, wow.
And through my clinical psychology studies later on, I really came to understand it in a new light.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a tough story, but it really emphasizes how important awareness is and early intervention.
Gosh, that's really heavy.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think bringing that personal connection into this is going to make this deep dive a lot more impactful and interesting for everyone listening, because it's not just theoretical. It's like, we always think about this stuff happening somewhere else, but this could be happening right here in our community in Luxembourg.
Absolutely. We always think it happens somewhere else, but the reality is that mental health challenges touch all of us in some way.
Yeah.
And what's really fascinating is that research has come so far in terms of treatment and prevention.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really innovative medications and therapies that are truly changing the game.
Yeah, that's what I'm really curious about.
Yeah.
But before we get into those, maybe we should start with the basics.
Okay.
What exactly is schizophrenia?
So the DSM-5, which is like the psychiatrist's Bible for diagnosing mental disorders.
Yeah.
It defines schizophrenia as a chronic mental illness.
Okay.
It's characterized by a range of symptoms, including hallucinations, delusions, disorganized thinking, and difficulty with social interaction and emotional expression.
So it's like a person's internal world, their thoughts, their perceptions are so distorted that it impacts their ability to function in the real world.
Exactly.
Okay.
And that's where it's important to understand the different models for approaching mental disorders. So we have the biological model, which focuses on like the physical aspects, like genetics, brain chemistry.
Okay.
And then you have the biopsychosocial model, which takes a broader view.
Yeah.
It considers those biological factors, but also the individual's psychology and their social environment.
So it's like nature and nurture both playing a role.
Precisely.
Okay, I like that.
Think of it this way. The biological model might say, okay, there's a genetic predisposition or an imbalance of dopamine in the brain.
Okay.
And that's the primary driver of schizophrenia.
Okay, so that's, like you said, the physical aspect, like looking under the hood to see what's misfiring.
Exactly.
But when we bring it back to, like, my friend's story, where does that fit in? Like, what does the biopsychosocial model add to that?
Well, the biopsychosocial model would say, hold on, let's zoom out a little bit. Because, yes, those biological factors might be present.
Right.
But they're not the whole story.
Yeah.
We also need to look at the person's experiences, their family dynamics, their social support system, any trauma, any stressors they face.
It's like acknowledging that a person's life experiences can actually shape their mental health just as much as their genes.
Exactly. And this is especially relevant when we talk about the link between schizophrenia and criminal behavior.
Okay.
So you see, research from Cambridge has shown that individuals with schizophrenia are statistically 4 times more likely to commit violent crimes.
Wow. That's scary.
It's a startling statistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not saying that everyone with schizophrenia is dangerous, right?
Absolutely not. It's crucial to remember that the vast majority of individuals with schizophrenia are not violent. In fact, less than 5% of all crimes involve severe mental illness.
Okay.
But these statistics highlight a crucial point.
Okay.
Untreated symptoms, especially when combined with other things like substance abuse or a lack of social support, can increase the risk.
Yeah.
This is where understanding that interplay between biological, psychological, and social factors becomes really essential.
So it's not just the disorder itself, but it's the context in which it exists that can lead to these potential risks.
Exactly.
And I imagine this is where our discussion of treatment and prevention comes in.
Exactly. We're starting to see some really exciting advancements that could change the trajectory for individuals like my friend. We're talking about medications that target specific receptors in the brain, not just dopamine, and therapies that go beyond just managing symptoms, but actually build cognitive and social skills.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me.
Yeah.
What are some of those game changers? Let's start with medications.
One that's showing a lot of promise is KarXT.
KarXT.
Okay. Unlike traditional antipsychotics that just focus on dopamine.
Right.
KarXT targets different receptors in the brain. These are called muscarinic acetylcholine receptors.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to need you to break that down for me a little bit.
Okay.
What are these receptors and what makes that so different than what we've been doing?
Think of it this way. Dopamine is just one piece of the puzzle when it comes to brain chemistry. By targeting these muscarinic acetylcholine receptors, KarXT seems to address a wider range of symptoms, including both the positive symptoms like the hallucinations and also the negative symptoms like apathy, social withdrawal.
So it's like hitting multiple targets at once.
Precisely.
And giving people with schizophrenia more of a comprehensive benefit.
Exactly. And the research is really promising. Phase 3 trials have shown that KarXT was significantly effective at reducing both the positive and negative symptoms.
Wow.
And a significant percentage of patients showed real improvement.
That's really encouraging.
Yeah.
But what about the social and cognitive challenges that come with schizophrenia?
Right.
Can medication alone address those?
So medication is a crucial part of the treatment plan,
but
it's not the whole picture. That's where therapies like cognitive enhancement therapy or CET come into play.
Okay, CET.
CET is a fascinating approach because it's essentially a targeted workout for the brain.
Okay, so we went from brain receptors to brain workouts.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
It's designed to improve their cognitive function and social skills.
Can you give me an example? Like, how does that work in practice?
Imagine it as a structured program that helps individuals with schizophrenia to strengthen their cognitive muscles. It focuses on improving their attention, their memory, their problem-solving abilities, even social cues. It's like giving them the tools and training they need to navigate the world more effectively.
So it's not just managing symptoms. It's like building skills for a more fulfilling life.
It is, and the research supports it. Studies have shown that CET can have a real impact on improving cognitive function and social skills, which are crucial for things like holding down a job, maintaining relationships, feeling a sense of purpose.
Yeah, I mean, those are essential for any of us to live a fulfilling life.
Yeah.
And that kind of brings us back to your friend's story.
Yeah.
And the link between schizophrenia and criminal behavior. You know, we've talked about how effective treatment can reduce those risks.
Yeah.
But how do we measure those risks in the first place?
So there are assessment tools and risk factors that clinicians use to evaluate the likelihood of violence. Things like a history of violence, substance abuse, lack of social support, and certain types of delusions. Those can increase the risk, but it's important to remember that these are just risk factors. They're not guarantees. Each individual is unique. And assessment is an ongoing process.
So it's not about like stereotyping or assuming that just because someone has this diagnosis, they're going to be violent.
Absolutely. And that's where our role as a community comes in. We can all play a part in creating a more supportive and inclusive environment for individuals with schizophrenia, which can in turn reduce those risk factors and promote recovery.
So it's not just about the meds and the therapy. It's about having like a safety net.
Exactly.
And a support system.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And that brings us right back around to the importance of community support. And, you know, the idea that each of us can actually play a role in creating a more inclusive environment for individuals with schizophrenia right here in Luxembourg.
Yeah, and that's actually kind of a perfect segue into what we want to do with this deep dives. You know, we've talked about your personal story. We've delved into like all the science, but now I kind of want to get practical. Like, what can we as individuals, as a community do to actually make a difference?
It starts with awareness. Educating ourselves about mental health challenges, understanding the signs and symptoms, being open to having conversations about these often taboo topics.
Yeah, those are important.
Recognizing that mental health is just as important as physical health, and it's okay to not be okay.
You're so right. We have to break down those walls of silence and stigma. But, I mean, beyond awareness, what are some, like, concrete things that we can do?
Yeah.
What does support look like in a real-world setting?
It can be as simple as reaching out to someone who seems isolated or withdrawn.
Okay.
A friendly hello,
Mm-hmm.
a listening ear, a genuine offer of help.
Yeah.
It can be about challenging those stereotypes and misconceptions that we encounter in our daily lives.
Yeah.
And it can be about advocating for better mental health services and resources in our community.
So it's about being present, being informed, and being proactive.
Exactly.
Creating a space where people feel safe to seek help and express their struggles without fear of judgment.
Exactly. And here in Luxembourg, we have some fantastic organizations doing amazing work.
Yeah.
In this area, places like the Luxembourgeoise de Mental and the Centre Hospitalier Neuropsychiatric.
Yeah, we'll definitely include links to those in the show notes for everybody.
Great idea.
But beyond those formal support systems, what can we do, like in our personal lives, in our families, in our friendships?
Yeah, I think one of the most important things is to create an environment where it's okay to talk about mental health.
Okay.
Encourage open communication. Listen without judgment. Offer support without trying to fix the person.
That's huge. That's a great point. Resisting the urge to offer unsolicited advice.
Right.
Or try to solve the problem for them.
Exactly.
Sometimes just listening can be the most powerful form of support.
Absolutely. And remember, you don't have to be a mental health professional to make a difference.
Yeah.
A simple act of kindness, a shared meal, an offer to help with errands.
Right.
These small gestures can have a huge impact
Yeah.
on someone who's struggling.
You're painting a really hopeful picture here.
Yeah.
It's empowering to know that we can all be part of the solution.
Yes.
But I do have to ask about the more difficult situations.
Okay.
Where maybe someone is a danger to themselves or others. What's the best course of action then?
That's when it's crucial to seek professional help.
Okay.
Immediately.
So.
Don't hesitate to call emergency services or reach out to mental health professionals who are trained to assess risk.
Okay.
And provide the right interventions.
So it's about knowing our limits and knowing when to call in the experts.
Yeah, absolutely. Safety is the top priority.
Right.
And I want to emphasize, seeking help is not a sign of weakness.
Yeah.
It's a sign of strength.
Yeah.
It takes courage to reach out for support.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's no shame in needing help.
That's a really important message for everyone listening.
Absolutely.
It's okay to not have all the answers.
Yeah.
It's okay to ask for help.
Exactly. And the sooner the better.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that early intervention is crucial.
Yeah.
Can you expand on that a little bit? Like, what are some signs that we should be looking for? And when is it time to seek help?
There's no single set of signs that applies to everyone.
Right.
But some common red flags include significant changes in behavior, mood or sleep patterns, withdrawal from social activities, difficulty concentrating, increased anxiety or paranoia, and unusual thoughts or beliefs.
Okay, so if you notice these changes in someone you care about, you should encourage them to seek help.
Exactly. It's important to express your concern and encourage them to seek professional help.
So it brings us back to your friend's story. Knowing what you know now about schizophrenia and its treatment, do you think things could have been different for him?
It's impossible to say for sure.
Right.
But I do believe that if he had access to these innovative treatments and the comprehensive support that we have today, his story might have had a different ending.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
And I think it highlights like the potential that we have to change the narrative around mental health and create a future where these tragedies are less likely to occur.
Exactly. And that's why I'm so passionate about this. Raising awareness, reducing stigma, and advocating for better access to mental health care. It's not just about helping individuals. It's about creating a healthier, more compassionate society as a whole.
You've shared so much valuable information with us today.
Oh, that's my pleasure.
I'm sure our listeners are feeling way more informed and empowered
Good.
to make a difference.
Yeah.
But before we wrap up, I want to touch on one final point that you brought up earlier.
Okay.
This idea of evidence-based approaches to treatment.
Yes.
Can you talk about what that means and why it's so important?
Evidence-based practice means that our decisions about treatment are based on scientific research and clinical expertise rather than personal opinions or outdated practices.
So it's about making sure that people are getting the most effective care,
Exact.
best care possible.
Yeah, it's about relying on data on proven methods.
Rather than just guesswork or anecdotal evidence?
Exactly. And in the field of mental health, where there's still so much stigma and misinformation, it's especially crucial to rely on solid evidence.
Yeah, I think that's a great point to end on.
Okay.
This deep dive has been really eye-opening.
Yeah.
It's made me think about all the ripple effects of mental health challenges.
Yeah.
It's not just the person struggling, right? It's the families, the friends, the whole community.
It's true. The ripple effects are often invisible.
Yeah.
But they're very real.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to think about the support systems.
Yeah.
Not just for the individuals with schizophrenia, but for the people who love them too.
Exactly. Their loved ones need support as well.
Right, because families and friends often bear a really heavy burden.
Yeah.
Both emotionally and practically.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So how can we support those caregivers?
Well, providing information and resources is key.
Okay.
There are organizations like ALUPSC and the Association Nationale des Familles et Amis de Personnes Malades Psychiques.
Okay. Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yeah.
But they offer support groups.
Yeah.
Educational workshops, advocacy services.
Exactly. All for families and caregivers.
We'll include links to those in the show notes too.
Perfect.
Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for listening.
We hope this conversation has made you think and deepened your understanding of this really important topic.
Yeah.
And maybe even inspired you to take action.
Yeah.
Because remember, knowledge is power.
Absolutely.
And by sharing what we've learned today, we can all help create a brighter future for everyone. So until next time.
Yeah.
Stay curious.
Right.
Keep learning and take care of yourselves and each other.
Take care.
I don't know about you, but I'm definitely feeling inspired to start applying some of this stuff to my own life.
Me too. It's definitely a lot to unpack.
For sure.
Yeah.
But hey, that's what deep dives are for, right?
Absolutely.
So until next time, happy exploring.
Yeah. Keep those brains working.